Yes. Oh, the heart, man.
時折僕は思うのだよ、ワトソン。ホームズは物憂げに首を振り言った。我々が目にする事件は本当にそれが全てなのだろうか。その裏側に誰も知るもののない物語が隠れているかもしれない。ハーブティーから立ち上る湯気を追うその夢見るような眼差しの先には、きっとあの雪の日の夕刻の情景が浮かんでいたのだと思う。ブライヤーロードの歩道に倒れ伏した若い女性とその背に刺さった狂人。ガス灯の明かりが柔らかく切り取った奇怪な事件現場の情景。不可解な姿なき犯人の事件は薄い霧の中静かに幕を開けたのだった。
Wait, I didn't see what happened. Wait, what? I was walking around. Thank you, XC for looking. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo-san? Stepped in the back. Okay. Wait, what? Okay. No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious. Felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gaslights twinkling, it was brighter than day even in the middle of the night. Oh, what about the enormous beds? And after my time in the SS Buria, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. Spent the entire night rolling on one side of the mattress to the other. Oh yes, it really was a sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except, when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that some money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. Wait, is £3 that expensive? I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am sorry. Well, not too many. Never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London is a scary place. Good morning to you at this early hour. Oh, yes, we are, well. Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report the outcome of the trial at the Old Baileys yesterday. Susato-san is amazing. She didn't even bat an eyelid even in the presence of this imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe we have a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh yes, it was very eye-opening, thank you. And in accordance to your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I have already been appraised of such events. You have conducted a remarkable defense. We may consider the test passed. Oh, no longer are you a student for the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a full-fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talents from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So, I'm a lawyer now? Now, in my views of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that it won't be a problem. Another case? Already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure. I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it yet. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What's more important? What's more were you hoping for? The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by the court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. Well, Lord Van Zykes, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Wah ha 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 ha. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilder really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo. No, it's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, if you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean by that, Lord Strongheart? Wait, he died? Magnus McGilder passed away immediately following the trial. No. What? Mr. McGilder is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Wait, you said that he would be up in another case. I don't understand what happened. How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you've presumably recall, an omnibus has been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course, that was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilder has been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matters, the omnibus went up in flames. No. How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak. But already, the police have identified a corpse found in the charred shell of the carriage as that of Mr. McGilder. That's awful. That man must have slipped in while the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilder did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibuses. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They are going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I've asked if I've been present for it myself. An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard has any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who was Mr. McGilder talking to? Never mind that now. The yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor Mr. McGilded. The British Court of Law. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow. Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was stepped into the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, so Sato-san has such a way with words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn as much as you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to find a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive that not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations. I freely admit that much at least is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I have prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? Why is he going to what was he going to say before? New case. Could you perhaps give us more detail about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes? Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? This is to say, no one has died, as of yet. And the trial would not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes and 19 seconds to be precise. How? So the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh yes, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it left me wondering if I'm really cut out to be a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Ah yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unpresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that is right. Here we go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparation for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is it. there it is now, but 23 hours and 26 minutes and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. What's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi? I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. It's like 34 seconds. Well, Kazuma's always used to Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I like to work towards to myself, and that's another thing. Oh, another thing. Continue. Oh, on the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important that I have to do. Something very important? And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he have to... You're out of time. No, thank you for your enlightening discussion. Mr. Naruhodo, what was that all about? Mr. Asogi never even mentioned one of that sorts to me. Oh, fuck. I urge you both to focus on your attention at the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty to summon the police inspector in charge of this case. He'll be able to appraise you of the details. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck and bid you farewell. Dude is like time hungry, I would say, like time conscious. Super time conscious. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyways, we had better talk to that detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. Is that potato wedges? Oh, I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. That looks like potato wedges, man. Yeah, it is potato wedges. Damn, I want potato wedges now. Could we trouble you? What do you think? Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some flippery about the weather doesn't get every English gentleman eating out of your hand, you know. But Susato-san told me that it was a foolproof. I'm a busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, okay, whatever. Oh, I'm very sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying, huh? Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of some bumpkins who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of? Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. It's not going to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Su. It's a lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? Ooh. It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable! How did she pull that off? So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson, Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Does this detective name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? You're acting like you know this man, Miss Susato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well. Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, is that in that publication? Was it called again? Red Sun Magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible! Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words. That's his highest praise? Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. That he is not, and thanks to that magazine, my name is known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wants to shake my hand and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it's not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, do whisper. So I couldn't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folks are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as X is X. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard to work. Oh dear, perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before? Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Beer Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack a poor woman from behind? I suppose you would have to finish whoever it was off with a Susato takedown, would you? There is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Brace yourself, Ryunosuke. You've angered her now. Anyways, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely made the time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So, there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit? Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question. Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing to do. Nothing you can do. There's no way to help this bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that has been assigned to this trial tomorrow is Lord Baroque Van Zykes. No. Sounds like you've heard of him then. Oh yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zykes. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. The Reaper of the Baileys. Ooh. Lord Baron Van Zykes, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilded told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zyke stands from the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which you've been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname, I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty. Is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zykes, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. Huh. And what of it? Oh, well, I think that means that even against the Reaper of the Baileys, it's not impossible to save the defendant. Wait, is it raining there? I have to tell you, my vocal cords is going to die on me. Oh god. Okay, never mind. Let's get to it. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Ah! Magnus McGilded came a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. You can't really rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zykes could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'll be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. I'd have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? Right, well, I filled you in as requested and I'm very nearly out of chips. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Bier Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place? That's correct, madam. And if you head over there to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You've branded him a criminal already? He's as good as shaking like a leaf in his cell, he is. It'll give you a good chuckle if nothing else. His inmate... Oh fuck, I can't speak now, holy shit. He's inmate 53, speaks to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53? Thank you. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of Baileys, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell you the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage too. But if the man they've arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's event myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I would like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Let's get this bread. Did you really think that you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes, let's go. Let's go to prison then. Then we'll go to the crime scene, I guess. So, these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these stone-cold walls. Oh, don't say that, Mr. Naruto. You're making it seem worse. Apparently, our client is in this cell right here. But it's so dark at the back there, I couldn't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop idling at the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat and yet with no name? Calling me by a number. It's utterly unbelievable. Unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruto, what do you think is going on here? I have no idea, but I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of compliments was in Japanese. Wait. Oh, I thought it was Inspector Hosunaga. Excuse me, but who? Shh, quiet. They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask who you? There you are. You come to curse me, haven't you? Don't you try to hide it, you ghost. Ghost. You mean you no harm, prisoner-san? Are you Japanese by any chance? Oh, his eyes cleared up. This is beyond my wildest dreams. Oh, forgive me for the outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Yeah, imagine it. It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a freaking fix in a foreign land. So I'm hearing that sweet, sentimental tone of a compatriot voice. Here, this damn dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Who could have guessed that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? What compassion my fellow countrymen show to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never failing Nippon. First-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there have been some sort of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why, you've been detained as a suspect, for example. Yes, I can, I will. Stay silent and silent. I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy. Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Yes, and I am Naruhodo's son, judicial assistant, Susato Mikutoba. Visiting student sent here by our government. Notably notorious named Natsume. Soseki Natsume. Yes, please tell me. Soseki Natsume. Soseki Natsume-san. What an unusual name. Call me Suseki, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haikus. Something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No. Don't be so proastic. It's much more refined than that. And haikus? That really reminds me of home. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer that misery, and now this is beyond the pale. Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something, does it mean you can do it? No. What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustified, unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white washi. Oh shit.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Hey, thank you Chewy for the raid of 3 people. How did your stream go? What did you play? Hi Timmy, how are you? How are you today? What did you play actually? Wait, you played Battlefield. Yeah, I saw. Oh yes, so I'm often told. And often like to be told, it seems. Okay, the accusations against you. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san? I didn't do it. I did not commit that atrocious murder. Murder? Oh, no. Oh, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was still stabbed with a knife. Right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I had seen the person who did it, do you think I'll be locked up in here? Oh dear. Seems this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. It was an accursed evening just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I've been to the bookshop to buy some books and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure, the bookshop wasn't accursed too. As I was walking along the accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I was about to overtake her, she suddenly let out that little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slab of stone at my feet. How terrible. I called to that woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight over-exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me from the back to my accursed lodging. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of this fair-haired English? And a young woman at that? I'm different, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman, unknown to Soseki-san. And that time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anyone pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see another soul. No one. Oh great. So the victim was unknown to you and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? Damn, you'll be adding more questions. What's with all the questions, man? What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He said that he didn't know the victim and there were no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did. But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. Ah! You... What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought that was a little too loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry. He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So, how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh, that's true. Oh yes, she's right. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to be... Wait, is it Sherlock? Is it Sherlock Holmes? Of all the bad luck, accursed great detective? Could it be? I shall never forgive that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody, be gone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Sherlock Holmes. I knew it. Jim. Mr. Holmes? Hiya. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after the nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst through the door. They started shouting at me, "There's the police! Put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yet it was so hard I can't even... But I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination devils. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Sherlock Holmes! It's actually just Sherlock Holmes. It's his English. I've since found that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really very well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak-stooped kitten of a man. Yes, Neko-san, yes. I wonder what great deduction process led him to this conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Holmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Well, thing is, I was thrown in a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they keep throwing questions after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flamery. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them from questioning you in English. Good point, good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I'm in manacles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine. It's not fine now. Yay! Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Oh, did you just call me Naruhodo? And when we're speaking English, a simple Mister is more than enough. Oh yes, alright, yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg of you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student? I have defended a case in the Old Baileys. Only the one, though. But at this moment of time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. Not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. But the armband, that's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? Believe it be that believes in you. Yes. I know exactly what you're saying about me. So, who do you mean? The lawyers. All the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me. Goodness, why? Why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san. And anyways, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing at me before, in my earshot without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said. And of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyways. It's awful. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway across the world to learn about this people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I would like to entrust my fate to someone who can actually listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see that you've been through. Soseki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can, for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Bye. This is where it happened. Briar Road. Ah! Look, Mr. Naruhodo-san. Look at the regulation metal helmets. It's unmistakable. The man of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But, Mr. Naruhodo, to see one with my very own eyes? They're often depicted in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but I never dreamt I would ever come this close to a real Bobby's helmet. What? The helmet? Hehehe. Of course. I have to try one day. Well, I hope your happy dreams come true. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't the tourist trail. This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're all well aware of. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So, you've been here to the holding cells then. What you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. Well, we'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The blokes in court tomorrow. Whatever happens. And the verdict's a foregone conclusion. The stone cold air of rejection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone cold air. That makes it worse somehow. Can we like investigate? Hehehe, what a delightful snowman. I didn't realize the Englishman had a tradition of making snowmen as well. Looks a little creepy though. Oh, it has a scarf. Look. You need one if we're going out in this freezing cold all this time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment too. We clearly can't afford a scarf. Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss his. But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know, you're right. Anyways, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. Okay. You do that. This patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred. Yes, it's a very wide open space, isn't it? That's true. I can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. Oi, what are you foreigners doing here? Well, I'm just investigating the conspiring with the mustache fellow from Japan. Are you conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, are you? Get out of here before I give it to you, innit? Go on. He shoot us away like rats. Yes, we should give him a wide berth, I think. What a disappointing experience. Yeah, how do I... What the fuck? It's broken. Oh, a British bicycle. Look. Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. Seems bicycles have been extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. The bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Oh goodness. Do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not like I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. If you ever tried walking on stilts and fallen into a river, I know you'll agree with me. We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. Damn, Susato-san is... How would you say? Wait, Strand Street. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks decidedly worse shape than the other houses around it. We must find some cheap lodging ourselves as soon as possible. Yes, you're right. Cheap, but ideally with reasonable level flooring. Look at the windows of the building there. Are you sure they're windows? Yes, but they're all filled with bricks. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment. There's smoke coming from the chimney though. Oh dear, everything feels very foreign. There's so much we have to learn about this place. Nothing? Nothing more? No. Okay. The Bobby. It's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling that if we were to wander too close, we'd be clapped in irons. I think perhaps you're being a little overly cautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern. Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Yes, you're right. You've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to do. It does you no favors at all. Ah! Hey, it's a horse-drawn carriage. Oh, that's a Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like that to rush to crime scenes and cut away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? It's long been a dream of mine to ride on one of those through the streets of London. Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it, wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone. No, I wasn't serious. I think that's all that we can look out for. So we'll converse with the police. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, madam. Oh, and you know I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby helmet. Let's make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. You suddenly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Being a London bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Go around and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yup. Raps on their window with a large pole. Did it myself going back a bit. I had no idea. The bobby works for the people of town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. Ooh, I can't imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas lamps. Oh my. And I suppose in between all of those duties, bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you can call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men kneeling over from time to time, I admit. I've always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a very heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. About the case. It happened at around 5 in the evening 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. It is right. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in the hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes round pretty smartishly, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area. I hope you... Oh shit, what's that? Yes. Here's a map of the local area. I happen to have it with me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers defending suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Mr. Inspector. We gratefully accept. The local map has been entered into the court records. Anyways, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countryman. So, who did it, you think? Not much of a head-scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can't be sure that nobody else was present. I'm sorry to say this to you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, madam, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less. It was a typical foggy London day and your client obviously didn't see them. There were witnesses now? Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man of one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a couple from Scotland Yard. Ah! A policeman? That might change things. And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked. Nothing peculiar about that, madam. Part and parcel of being a bobby. Catching them banging the act and all of that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like in court tomorrow. Oh, I've no doubt he's been summoned as a witness. So that they'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I heard that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing up here for? Was it something I said? The color has drained from his cheeks. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because that prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save that man now. It's a waste of time trying. It's all a bit strange though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a few good years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And the only person he usually bothers with are the real scum. The master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right. He handpicks his victims. Only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely? That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I've been expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for what of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taking an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I'll tell you what's going on inside the head of the Lord of Darkness? You have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Are we really going to have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he puts it? Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. Said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle faddle. The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Setting up the DC stream. Oh shit, man. Oh shit, I have to hear this. Hold on. Sounds like I'm losing my voice, man. I know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims he has solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He's a great help to Scotland Yard though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. Ah! Ever seen this before? Oh yes, that's Renst magazine, the wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Holmes appear. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any Sherlock Holmes tales at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be thumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all other criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly the great detective and the police has a complex relationship. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Oh, yes. What is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Holmes? Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. Man, you can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Holmes for all of this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in this case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet Mr. Holmes again. The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address. It's Baker Street! How do you know that? It's in the story, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We'll better try to find our way there before Susato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I summon a carriage! So we'll have a reunion already. With the great detective Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Bye! Briar. I want more, to be honest. So this is where the great detective makes his living. Feels surreal to be here somehow. It is as described in the stories, Miss Susato. Is it as described in the stories, Miss Susato? Susato-san? Many famous cases have been solved in here, in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been. Yes. I've never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited as she seemed to be. The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears in the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrills of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So, if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a little while longer. Please, don't mind me. Ah, she's obsessed. Well, it looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anyone home? Oh, do we have a visitor? This is Watson, isn't she? Hello! Is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes? Hello. Wait a minute. Wait, aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Miss Osato, did you see the girl who was just here? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case. The King of Where, yeah? King Wilhelm Gottschrick, Sigismund von Ormenstein, of course. I just butchered that name, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes for a moment and look over there. Orm. Oh, Orm. The tea's brewed, and have a freshly baked cake as well. Ah, it's you! I knew it. Susato-san recognized her too. Ah, there you are. And taking that thing with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ormenstein. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. Oh, look at that bag! Yo, look, it's Sholmes. Oh wait, you can't see. Fuck. Look at that. It's Rabbit Sholmes, and I don't know what that is. Is that a mouse Wilson? That's cute. Oh, that's Kitty Wilson. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilded trial in the defendant antechamber. I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Why are you having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London? Oh, yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray! It's a winner! I tried blending different tea leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man? I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, surely? Yeah, yes, Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley is out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from the overseas. Wait a minute. We met this girl before the first time yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all of those things, do you think? And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Shom's suite? Oh, silly me. I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live together here with Harley. Ah, Iris, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait. This can't be. Did you just say that your name is Wilson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it? Susie and Runo? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her. I don't even know where to start. Yes, and so do I. I think we've explored the whole entire Iris. Was that it was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey. That's right. You're ever so helpful. Thank you very much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. Though at the time we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Don't point that at me. Like this? Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Jeannie? Yes, she's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get that back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my invention. This girl is dangerous. Why does she remind me of Klee? Klee makes everything go boom boom. Anyways, I brought Jeannie back here after all that so she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together. I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expected you found out that lodging of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Brand's magazine? Yes, I've read every issue. It delivers all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on one of the secrets if you like. I'm gonna call it the latest adventure, the Spangled Band. The Spangled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake to be the cause of all the troubles. Oh, that was Mr. Shom's first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the fact of the case exactly, but it's a story. Some poetic licenses is justified to make it more thrilling, I think. Don't you? So, do you mean to say, are these stories about Mr. Shom's that are published in Rand's magazine? All written by me, yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. J.H. Wilson. Susato-san's getting more and more worked up. Ah yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old. At 10 years old. Oh, that's quite incredible. But Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the settings slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow. I suppose it does. Yes. Poor Susato-san. She looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. About before. Yes. What's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer and will just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we had a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'll be delighted to. Although, there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logical and reasoning spectacular. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. But you also said that we only arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed the passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh. So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the city, in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Baileys? I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were giving that when you visit the local prison to meet with a suspect, weren't you? Earlier today? Ah. They use those stamps to keep a close eyes on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, Dad told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, two of you has already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you were wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It's obviously amused him. He told me that he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsume. Oh, Runo. Now Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyways, it was clear to me that you both came from Japan yourself. So I put two and two together and decided that you must have been defending the Japanese Hurley caught yesterday. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. But to be honest, right? To be honest, Iris Wilson is better at deducing than Herlock himself. Why isn't Iris the detective instead? There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife. You know, he is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. You even managed the certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please? So yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying? Yes! Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who have seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsume is beyond any doubt. Soseki-san said that he didn't see anyone else on the street at all, but it seems there was a witness after all. Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room, very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man shivering in fear. Ah, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction clearly hits the mark that time. Of course it did. He is a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Oh, Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I haven't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of working on the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is, but in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Soseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guess, we'll like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, Mr. Natsume. Hurley said he was going to the man's lodging. If you leave now, you'll probably catch up to him. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you came here? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Goody. In that case, give Gregsy this from me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. Okay. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I'll trust that wouldn't be a problem." Gosh, this will make an inspector help us, will it? Oh, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Spangled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back soon, okay? We'll be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime. So somewhat dubious that they were exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris' curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. Really? That's it? What the fuck, my dude? It looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation. Perfect. Let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? I'm sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign get-abouts, that's for sure. We have this for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson. What? For me? From her ladyship? Her ladyship? Give it here at once. Come on, hand it over. That's for me. Don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What? What's that coin exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's an appearance fee. That's what it is. An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean... That's right. For the great adventures of Sherlock Holmes, her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me every time. Yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. Of course, her using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still, I'm sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult for you. Never mind that. So, what don't you want to know then, eh? I'm sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously, it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What you want to know? Well, if you don't mind, Inspector. We'll very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodging. Ah, the little knife-wielding, mustache Japanese fellow? He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there, look. Really? Just across the street? On the first floor of the house, on the corner where the wreck of a bicycle propped up. That is nearby indeed. If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Goridep. Right. Well, if you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it. You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector. We will. Goodbye for now then, and long live her ladyship. Damn, what a squirrels in my pants. Mr. Gregson, Detective Gregson is he is a squirrel in my pants. Hey. Okay. Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yes, so then shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodging? Definitely. It's a rather typical old building, isn't it? I'm sure. Yeah, according to Inspector Gregson, that's the house where Mr. Natsume has lodging. Just across the road from where the incident took place, I see. It must be awful for Soseki-san getting caught up in something like that in this foreign land. Oh my god, okay. Then what the fuck? It's a Ken? May I help you? Ah yes, would this be the residence of Mr. John Goridep? Indeed it would be, sir. And who may I say is calling? My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Soseki Natsume. I believe he's taken lodging here. Oh. We would be very much like to ask him some questions about our client. One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Goridap. Did you see that, Miss Susato-san? That was a real-life English maid. I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better. It certainly feels like we've really arrived now, don't we? We need only to to meet a butler and the experience will be complete. Well, I'm not sure if I'll go that far, but I understand the sentiment. Thank you for waiting. Mr. Goridep will see you now. This way. Good day to you. John Goridep at your service. Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. He's a defense lawyer. Do excuse me for not getting up. I took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Maiwand. Don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings. So he's a retired soldier? It's a hell of a job getting up and down stairs now. I can tell you. Don't get out too much, as you can imagine. Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs. You really must take more exercises, Mr. Naruhodo. Do you think so? Well, Mr. Goridep, no doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal. Oh, it was nothing. The medal is just a folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general though, so I grudgingly displayed it on my wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly. Joan, fetch the... Dash it all, woman. Be careful. Oh, dearie me. I do beg your pardon, sir. You jolly near took the skin off my hands. I shall be more careful, sir. So anyways, there you have it, living the quiet life now. Yes, I see. Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right? Yes, we do want to know. We would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us. Only too pleased, naturally. Especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We've forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, and as I'm sure you're aware, so this case is very much in the public's eyes, as it were. Oh, is it? Even had some famous detective poking around, you know, in this old house, would you believe? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Could have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business. Oh, but we have a copy of Rand's magazine here, so... Hey, no, Anyways, the chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak. So he's in Sosaki's room now. So, bally nuisance is what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling. Well, Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Goridep, please, do tell us. Ah yes, the Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week. Oh, just 1 week? So, he moved in very recently? I had 2 lodgers most of the time. One on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available a week ago. Dash it all, Jones, do be careful. Oh, my goodness. I'm terribly sorry, sir. If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a shady shot from the moment I set eyes on him. Oh, why? He seems to have a very nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man has shady written all over his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble. Sooner or later, he's gonna do something untowards. And I'm rarely wrong about anything. I won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure. Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Yes. Oh yes, indeed there was. And she's dying to tell us? Did you notice anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume? Oh my word, yes. The man was shadier than an orchard. Could you elaborate? Oh, well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books, is it? More than anyone could ever read. And he never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. And the funny little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed too. Oh, I see. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night. And I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What is it, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine? Oh! I've understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. Yes, they're both below us on the floor and street level. Then, how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise timing that they come back in the evening, for example, even the time they go to bed. Ah! Good grief, Jones. Be more careful, woman. Oh, my goodness, sir. I'm terribly sorry, sir. Something doesn't add up here. Seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the morning, 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out the window at around that time? The window? Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby? 5 o'clock is dinner time in the Gary Depp household, so I'm afraid I don't remember saying anything. How about you, Joan? Oh, sir. Would have been dusk outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road. Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then? Such as... anything at all, even if it seems unrelated. Well... yes. Was there something else? Well, it's nothing particularly significant, but at the... Wow. Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow. Oh, yes. I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all. Really, Mr. Garidep? The way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been. Oh well, as I was saying, it's trifling matter really, nothing of a... Wow. What is the matter with you, woman? Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened. Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal. Joan. That's right, Mr. Goridep. What is the matter with these two? It sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident. But what? I wish I knew. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on? Why certainly, just below us on the first floor. Mr. Sholmes is investigating there even as we speak. Yes. Told me his name has asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key. Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services? That's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around? In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean. Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs. Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with the case, but we'll try. We need all the clues that we can lay our hands on, shall we? And yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more. Wait a minute. The fuck is this? Look at that enormous screen. It must have been put there deliberately for sure. It suddenly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. What could be possibly behind it, I wonder? I'm gonna have a quick look. Just a peek. Ahem. Maybe not. Maybe let's not, Miss Susato. I think the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea. Ahem. Okay. So we have explored the entirety of that room. So let's go to our clients. Oh, is it raining again? Yes, it's raining again. Holy shit, this is a bad day, I guess. What the fuck? That's a lot, man. That's a kitty! What? Just look at this place. And smell it. It's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountain of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all of my life. No, me neither. So dark in here too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think. Yes, once upon a time. But for some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsume lives. And by the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere. Have you? No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Gurideps told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Cat. Kid. What the fuck? Where are you going? Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away. I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quickly as a flash. It was a tricolored Mickey, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan? That's made me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in this country for 2 days. Where you go? Where you go, you bastard? You bastard. There seems to be west in the crevice. Crevice? Into a crevice between the mountain of books on either side. Suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat, but surrounded on all sides by these two towering old tomes. Surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookstore. Yore Books. Oh well. Oh, right, yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it. Look, and the date of purchase 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Okay. Is there nothing else? Ooh. Oh. We even call that a window? I think so. It was a window at one time after all. Although all that remains is a frame around some brick now. So surely it's just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately brick it up like that? I'm afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design on it to fit on it. Oh fuck. Ah, perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design on it a fit of whimsy. That's alarmingly feasible. Anyways, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation is in here makes the place very oppressive. It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be rather tiring. Is there nothing else? Doesn't seem so. Oh, it's him. What the fuck? Ah! Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah! There he is! Where did he appear from? Seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he wouldn't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, you two. Good day. Now, let's see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Burrier. Yes, of course, the Burrier. And let me see. What happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Asogi. He died tragically, but you were a great help to us. Ah yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh! Well, you seem to remember something of it at least. It was an honor to remember vaguely, but the great detective Sherlock Holmes. This is Mr... Oh no, my dear madam. Hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo. And Mr. Susato. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. I lost the first round. Oh my god. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my biggest sweet suite the day we arrived in London, but some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Soseki-san in that short amount of time. I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvement a little bit. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has an elastic wall and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully. Miss Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important question to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Yes, converse please. Mr. Natsume's arrest. We note this to be the lodging of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. Seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes? For the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road? Natsume. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? I can believe he was looking at Susato-san squarely in the eyes while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I am not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. End of year stream? Oh, first stream of the new year when? Yes, first stream of the new year when? Oh, how? I assure you, I have no recollection of accusing your stooped compatriot of the crime. 7th. Okay, I'll mark that down on my calendar. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me. I quote verbatim. Yes. We need you to ascertain the identity of and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. A man seen fleeing? There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit then? That I could not say. But it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliography. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No, no, no. Oh dear. Mr. Goridep, the landlord. Tell me. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings? Yes, Mr. Goridep, a retired military man. It was the first time I ever seen a soldier from the great British institution that is in the services. And it was the first time ever I've ever met a mate from Great Britain institution that is service. I didn't think that it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid. Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain premiere. And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling there. The second season? No. I haven't watched the second season yet. I've been busy with other animes. Plus, it's still streaming. Like it's still coming out. So, I just wanted to finish the ones. Yes, it's raining here too, my dude. You know, I can't see the fireworks later. Yes, I know. There's 4. It's up to 4, isn't it? What a time to be alive. Like you know, it's a I would say that it's a foreshadowing of what is going to happen in 2022. Dark times are coming, my boys. Dark times. We're already in dark times, but it's gonna be darker, man. Like black coffee dark. Whether or not betoken the social standings of those, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standings of those dwelling therein. Betoken their social standings? Sorry? Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. Oh. In the upper echelon, in the upper echelon of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary! As you can appreciate from those of the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes. Being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea, and it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs, specifically in the retired army veteran Mr. John Gurridep. Oh, affirmable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am yet unable to ascertain. I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. This room is thoroughly suffocating for my soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this would stab someone sooner or later. Oh, thank you, Arwood. Thank you, Timmy. Thank you, Timmy, for the headpad. Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one. Ah, but sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here. What is dark little room, Mr. Sholmes? Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any ideas? No window? Well, I mean, I can still clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with brick. Ah, I see. The question to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Window tax? What is that? Surely not a tax on windows. Precisely that. Oh my goodness. Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home, perhaps, rapidly closed windows up. Or the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere. In an effort to curry favor with what did I say flavor? In an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with a large sum of tax money. How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 odd years ago or thereabout, the window tax was abolished. But it's like it's 8 hours 55 minutes in. Yay, let's get it. I'm almost dead. but its legacy remains, as you see, in squat-lit lodgings such as this, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so. I've done a little digging and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think. Apparently, Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh? Still, that is of little relevance here, a matter not worth of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Well, I believe I've told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Ah yes, Mr. Naruhodo? Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remembered that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your service in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it? I'm not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients, to trust in their innocence? Yes, trust. Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he? My dear fellow, I haven't had the first idea. Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I could say. Ah, and one more thing. What is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us. I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance of this case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something. Mr. Gurudep, is it? Mr. Sholmes said much. Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyways, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. Mr. Naruhodo, as yet our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help us establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. Perhaps it's time it's time we probe a little deeper into Mr. Gurudep's secret. Just remember, I can't be sure whatever the landlord's secret will prove to be a relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Is he actually reading? Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, they're not here. Wunderbar. Ah, you pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forgot his name, still hard at work down there? Mr. Sherlock Holmes? Ah yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joe. Now then, when do you tell me wah? For the upteenth time, woman, will you watch what you're bawling while doing? I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall ask you to take your leave if you'll be so kind. Oh yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for all of your assistance. Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chances to talk with young foreigners like yourself. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourself out. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Gorideb is hiding something. And since no avenue of investigation seems to open up at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. Wait, I see him. He just popped out. What are you doing over there? Mr. Sholmes! Aha! We meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious. When did you sneak in here? Sherlock Holmes, sir. At your service. Whatever you were doing over there by the window. I am given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. And yet, sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here. Well, keeping an eye to one's window at dusk is a prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. And one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, me? I thought perhaps you might be needing of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about... Is he... I didn't expect him to go through with this again so soon. Oh, the great deduction. Do you mean Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo? I think so. There is just time enough for one of my great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before it's dark. Mr. Gorideb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerable distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one must call first-rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it is all too clear to me. There's two conclusions I have been able to draw by carefully observing of your living arrangement. I beg your pardon. The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Naruhodo, look! The old man broke out in cold sweat. Unbelievable. It seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on. How could I possibly know? You must inquire. The answer couldn't be more simpler, sir. For the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of the beast. And I know one too well, that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome, ferocious beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus, we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Ah, for a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garadep, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has been running rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposed at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of the beast. What is this piffle, I ask you? In the end, your admiration becomes so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India which you tried to keep in this very house. What? Wait, did I see like a slap to the face? Yet, living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much here in evidence. Well, yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Yes, we sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garadep, at Betty's Circus, a traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. We sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I have made my point. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion, and a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lions prancing jubilantly through the ring of fire. Now, Mr. Garadep, it's plainly clear that you have a deep feeling for a formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by your supporting arm. Amidst fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. Strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage. Nonsense, man. I simply... But what we must now ask ourselves is the true case of this pain. And we need to only follow the direction of your gaze to the answer. Yet, a pulse of bill that has given reason to this pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand of payment. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat and tea, indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, Now in the final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive wool carpet, if I'm not mistaken. Oh dearie me. What could have possibly caused such a disruptive outburst? Well, this time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. You're wondering I has set up the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire straits of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noblewoman, if there has no bread, let them eat cake? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the cakes, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I don't need to spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There's only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. It's that teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Yeesh. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Ah! What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Goridep. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelation can make people spill tears as times too. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in again, but could I make an observation? Why certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. What is it again? Well, you did your deductions just now. Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the fact. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion has run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Gorodep and his mate would have been hurt or worse. Ah, that's where you are stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought you said they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing, but I don't believe I have ever heard a lion that drinks tea. Ah, my dear Miss Susato, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breed, whenever anyone lands on Great Britain soil, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Oh, what a glorious notion. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it is your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight massage, that's all Mr. Naruhodo's deduction needs. You can do this! Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't even know yet whether or not this is gonna help Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile. Whatever the motivation is. At least that's what I want to believe. Let us start again. from the beginning. Of Sherlock Holmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Hold it, Mr. Holmes. Okay. Really. Okay. What form might this beast take? He's looking at his maid. Ah, for a man with a military breeding. Okay. He's looking at his maid. No, but if you observe Mr. Goridep's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Yes, something with a fierce nature. But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So, what was it then? We must follow Mr. Goridep's gaze. This will lead us to the true answer. The photo frame? Behind the lion statue on this mantelpiece, almost deliberately hidden from view, is a photograph. Though I have not yet examined it in detail, I assure you that it holds... Oh, it's the mortar shell. No, wait. Fuck. Kindly perform any particular experiment on your old stage. Okay. Now I know. Okay. It's a mortar shell. Really? It's not dead? What's this photograph? It appears to be Mr. Goridep's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride. No, how unfortunate. Something must have stuck the glass directly over the woman's face. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deep here. Have a happy New Year's, kids, and good night, y'all. Good night, Mickey. Happy New Year to you. I'll see you next year. I'll see you in my next year. Good night. Oof. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that newly wedded bride. Precisely, Mr. Naruhodo. No other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, this frame print pictures your wife, Mr. Goridep. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, you can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. Oh, indeed, surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast. Honored might be stretching a point. They're just like shit-talking Joan, man. It's like, we know that it's Joan. We know that it's Joan. But they're just shit-talking about how she's just a beast. Man, what the fuck? Too late, the fact remains that the beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Goridep. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well, yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in that direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue. No, is it? The poor fragile defenseless woman is beside herself. Well, I don't know about fragile. Oh dear. Anyways, Mr. Shoma is quite right. There's no sign of a Mrs. Goridep anywhere. But it seems there must be a clue as to where her whereabouts is. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. But I can't, like, it's revolved around, like, oh, it's there. Okay. The wedding room. She's wearing a very large ring, look. Yes, it's a sunflower design with a rather nice, with some rather nice embellishment. And it's on the ring finger of her left hand, which means it's surely a wedding ring. It looks like it's on there for life too. I can't imagine it would slide off a finger of them. What is this? What is this fat shaming, my dude? What is this? That's something to think about, Mr. Naruhodo-san. Not to say. Do you know Mr. Goridep's wife is in the photograph with a ring very much like this one? Was a large sunflower design as well. Really? You have a great memory for all these things. Large sunflower wedding ring. It's quite a coincidence that they have the same ring, isn't it? Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue to the beast's current whereabouts. Ah. Indeed it does. The flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. for this is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Goridep's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Goridep's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Goridep herself. Oh my word! Ding 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 ding. Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmised, this is my wife, yes. My Joan. Rather let herself go, you might say. But she wow. It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. Just I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be right? That's not right, I tell you. I was a second lieutenant on the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, don't you know? By golly, it's a sorry thing to say when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employment. Yes, here in London, one is rather judged. A household can't be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though, in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are a folly. You mean Mr. Goridep has his wife work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Goridep? Only in company, obviously, but listen here. This must remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please. Now, Mr. Goridep, it is plainly clear that you still have a deep feeling for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that... okay, wait. Really read this. Mr. Sholmes is quite right. He's still calling Mr. Goridep's wife a beast. Yes, as a woman that feels rather uncomfortable. But Mrs. Goridep is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm that seems to be propping up his head has some other significance then. Yeah, I know, right, Arvin? Fuck, man. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Goridep's pain is tangible though. What could that pose of his really signify? Oh my, look at that bright red mark. Gosh, that's quite something. And clearly made by someone's hand. Yes, Mr. Goridep have been slapped on the face, it seems. Hard. I've never seen such a cleverly defined mark. Whoever could have done this, could have done such a thing? Well, there's a very limited number of candidates, I would say. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. The pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade. Was you, Madame Joan Goridep? Well, yes. You have been desperate to hide that slap mark on your cheek, sir. How the blazes? How did you work that out, man? It's quite simple, actually. Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why we haven't looked directly. You haven't looked directly at us once. To keep your other side from view. Well, Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Goridep to fly into a rage. And we need one... And we... Oh, okay, wait. It's not that though. Didn't Mr. Shom say that the bills were all for Lion Father? Yes, but now we've established that the lion never existed. Which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all the food was Mr. Goridep's wife. No, Mr. Naruto, she's a person, not a thing. Yes, well... She's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap round the face. One so hard that it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I would love to know the answer to that question. Oh my god, what the fuck, man? Oh shit. Oh no. Someone must be reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here too. Mr. Goridep is clearly an avid reader. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note, written in a woman's handwriting. Oh James, I love you. Yours, Mary. And look next to the signature. Here. Lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas, Susato-san. Oh dear, I'm sorry. If this bookmark is actually a love note, then... How scandalous. An old man. Yes. Yes, it is this love note that has given rise to that pain you suffer. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here. Again? But I don't even know that Bolly woman. You don't know her? That note wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say? That's right. It's a likely story. Now listen here, Joan, old thing. I explained at that time. I bought the book at that second-hand place, and that note must have already been in there. So the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean? That's right. That's why I'm trying. A likely story. For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name is, in case if you forgot, it's a likely story. Are you questioning my name now? And there we have it. Arouse the suspicion of the female heart and you'll unleash a beast with a more ferocious bite. Now, In a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Yeah. Oh. It's a candle. But surely Mrs. Goridep didn't eat the carpet? No, of course not. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt. The state of disarray that this room is in is a result of her wild temper. No, that's true. It's not true. So this is the last part of Mr. Shom's deduction that we need to fix. We need only to follow Mrs. Goridep's gaze, and that will tell us the real answer. Alright, let's see what we can do. Yes! I wonder. This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small. It sure looks unstable. Looks to me like even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Oh dear, that would be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. There's only one candle missing. Yes, I didn't notice that before. Why is that, I wonder? Why is only one candle of the three missing from its holder? Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we only need to look at this candlestick. Most illumination, my dear fellow, and of course, the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. Indeed, they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks. It will appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation. Mrs. Goridep's mighty arm muscle left an impression not only on her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of her strike caused the candle to fall from the holder. Damn! And in seconds, the carpet was alight, and the whole corner of the room is in flames. Yes, for the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here. After the sparks of marital discourse flew, this room was the scene of a fire. He's finally getting up. Mr. Shom, sir. I salute you! Man's dead. Damn, that was good, man. I need more of this deduction spectacular. In these dashed long winter nights, you know, nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material, from which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems. Don't know about admonished. Demolished might be rather closer to the mark. And beast is most of the... Here we go again. In the carpet? Was that destroyed by the fire when a candle fell on the floor? Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you see. The whole place filled with smoke, couldn't see a bally thing. Was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flames. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. That's sympathy for you. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The poly furniture started going up in flames as well. We had to hide the mess behind that screen for the time being. Over there, Mr. Garidep. Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me. I had all my favorite old novels in that case, but as soon as the fire got hold of them, it was it, whoosh, up in smoke. Gosh. Then the wife started hurling things at me. What a terrible sight it must have been. There was I, back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books incoming tens to dozens. Worst of all is, I lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride? Ah yes, your notorious love for big cats coming true again. I assure you, the title doesn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of this ferocious beast rampage. Mr. Sholmes' deductions turned out to be the correct one. Correct once again. It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was a total carnage. Flames everywhere, and the old stick is full fatal. Out of interest, what time of day was it? I'm not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see. Around 5 o'clock, I think. So at exactly the same time as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below. Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blightley could have been flattened outside my window at that moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing. Oh, really? Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. What can I do for you? Well, I think we've gotten to the bottom of Mr. Goridep's situation now. But what does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secrets would prove to be of relevance or not. I just knew you were just going to say that. Now, Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall in into one of only two categories, those relevant to the case and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of a far greater far greater importance that you make up for your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours at the prison will soon to be over. Oh no! Is it time already? If you're gonna accept Mr. Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So, that's it. No more time to think. Perhaps you'd like to betake yourself to bidding us farewell now? I must prepare supper for Mr. Gurida. Oh yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. Yoseki's-san will be waiting for us, and I'm going to have to give him an answer. Move. Prison. But I thought we went to prison. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a cart. Oh! What's the matter? It looks like something else is going on over there in front of the Guridep's house. Who the fuck are you? Oh, I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Who are you calling an old man, you rum-rocking Nemean penny? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. What's this Horatio fella, eh? What are you on about? Excuse me. What the? Who are you now? I'm sorry. It just looks as though there might be a problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see. A lawyer? What? If I could be of any assistance, I would be happy to help. I'm from Japan and I study English law. Just... I now be on my way for today, but you mark my words. It ain't over yet. Get thee to the nunnery. Do I look like a blooming nun to you? Oh, you're so like fanciful. I do hope you're not injured. Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle. Thank you. What was that all about? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the enquiry, sir, but... Are you a lodger here in the Guridep residence? Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode. Mr. Guridep mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know what the other lodgers who lived on the first floor? Ah yes, a gentleman named Natsume. Oh, more worthy a polemist in my battle of words. Near could there be? Sorry, battle did you say? Who is the stronger? Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night. I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances at least. So fair maiden, so good gentleman. I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well. I did not really understand him, but I think he returned to his room. Seems he's unaware of what happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. With Soseki's son and that man as lodgers, the Gorodep house is suddenly full of eccentrics. Anyways, I'll go find us a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly waiting our return. Let's hope we can just get to the prison before visiting hours are over. Oh, it's you. You're here, you came. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo and Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched. We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume. Oh no, think nothing of it. Relax. If I was a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never failing Nipponese. Oh no, it's so. Let's not get carried away, shall we? Oh, I quite agree. There is nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand, it is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Such is my belief, at least. Oh, it's you. Yes, it is you. The miserable rotten spy, Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here? I have no intention of doing anything per se. Save observation, of course. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomy room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop by on my way home to see how our devastated friend is faring. Gloomful room? At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, is it the superior option? Anyways, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight and cost me not a penny. Ah, you! How dare you! Herlock Sholmes! Ah, I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. Should never have came to Great Britain. It was a great mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings, no doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is a bedlam. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodging was cursed, I mean? There is much truth in Mr. Mustache words. What? This is a wholly appropriate description, I would say. For the man's lodging, and indeed for tomorrow's trial. What's that supposed to mean? What do you mean cursed? Mr. Natsume, what did you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed? Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it. Oh, I see. That really agitated him. You don't mean the trial is really cursed somehow? Are you referring to the prosecutor, the Reaper of the Baileys? The Reaper? Oh no! What do you mean? Please, tell me. Summarize it. Succinctly in 16 salient words. Oh yeah, he is a haiku man. No defendant has ever survived the trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution. Ever. Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly! Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defender passed away in unusual circumstances. Mr. Megudit. What? I am impressed, Miss Susato. You have an eye for detail. Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes? Surely it can't be that having failed to have the accursed convicted, Lord Van Sykes killed the man himself? Oh no, he couldn't have. Surely? You have a wondrous notion. You have some wonderful notions. Sorry? The man is a mass murderer. He's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. Oh, yes. Why, of course he is. Of course he is. Then, why are you trying to scare me? It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. What on earth do you mean by that? Van Sykes is a quite exceptional man. However, in London's court of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception. That's good. Soseki-san looks like he's gonna cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system, whereas the defendant's guilt is considered by several points of view. However, public opinion is somewhat easily manipulated. Right. Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantages by any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling imposters as witness, and so on. By such underhanded means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. But it means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly, is from time to time, my dear madam. It is simply the reality of the situation. And that's alright. However, those indicted by Lord Van Sykes can accept justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking. Disappear? But how? By all means of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are all suddenly overwhelmed by a raging fever, or perhaps attacked by a highwayman. Oh no. All example of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo. Ha! I knew it. I'm a dead dodo done for doomed. Cursed lodging. When you said a cursed lodging before, you were referring to your room at the Goridep's house, I presume? Do you mean to say you believe that place is cursed? It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain, but I've only been in London a week before I started to notice something strange in myself. That didn't take long then. Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going going outside. They were always staring at me all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in the room. But even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away. You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a time. I had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Biar Road a week ago. Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient. The rent is cheap and I have little money. It appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late. So I told him, "If you have something to say, then say it. But if you're not, don't mention it in the first place." And well said. But it was true. It was all true. You mean the room is really cursed? Ever since I moved in that windowless hellhole, my state has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I've been choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbing in front of me. As I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe in me? Really, no one at all? To believe? Yes, to believe. Mr. Sholmes? Yeah, yes, me. Me, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what I can do for you? It's about the case on the SS Buria, if you recall. The Buria... that case. The one with the snake? Well, yes. All that time I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. And you helped us to investigate. I did I? Interesting. What I wanted to say is, why? Why did you believe in me? I see. Yes, you mean... because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room? Well, if you like, yes. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said I didn't do it, but I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in that which you were telling me. What? You see, the only thing I believe in are those I chose to believe in. What? What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? I make up my own mind about what it is to believe and what is not. If I say it like to believe in something I do, the circumstances can hang as far as I am concerned. But could I have betrayed your trust? Ha ha ha! In that case, I should have made an elementary error of my judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse in my opinion. Meaning? Whether or not one should trust another is in its final analysis down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right. He's right. Look up student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Arvin, can you tell me? Wait, you've seen this case, right? You've seen this case? Can you please tell me, like in like the fraction form, how far am I into this case? Yeah, he looks like he's holding a shit. Whether or not I believe in myself. I've been at it for 9 hours. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his clients. Yes, 9. I've only taken like a 10-minute break. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. Magic and determination. You were so right, Kazuma. Faith and magic. Oh, my dear fellows. It is time we are leaving, I believe. Already? Visiting the hours are over. The guards will be here shortly to escort you out. There's a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear. There's never enough time, is there? I guess so. I didn't even have dinner. I just ate one piece of bread and then just laid in my bed for like 5 minutes. I'll eat later. Mr. Natsume? If you like in the trial tomorrow, I'll be happy to represent you. Locum student Naruhodo Esquire. As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday, and although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial. Something crucial? What to believe in, the defendant, justice, or the truth? What to believe even? But I think I finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else, to trust my instinct. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime. And it's impressive that we've proved that in court. Local student Naruhodo Esquire. I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow. As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to be in my native tongue. Of course, Mr. Natsume. It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was in many ways made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Misusato. Yes. You should be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in the court. Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. The shocking events of yesterday's trial is still weighing heavily on my mind, but it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believed in me too. So it's time. Time that I've learned to believe in myself. Soseki-san has no one, he's all alone, so it's my job to help him to fight his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. I can do this.